Dr. Sally has joined. Lovely, lovely to see you, sir. Sir, put your take off the mute. You're on mute, sir.
Yeah. Taken
Very
out.
good. Very good. Okay, fine.
Yes, Joanne.
Thank you, sir.
Ready,
Sanika,
ready to participate.
Sanika,
Good
can you
afternoon,
start,
sir.
please?
Good
Yes,
afternoon,
yes,
good afternoon,
ma'am.
everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Mr. Alok and Mr. Naresh. Happy to be amidst you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to
Thank
you.
you, sir.
We'll just play a quick video and then launch into the session.
Just a moment.
Yeah.
कैमरा नहीं चला.
Sir, visible है.
A very warm welcome to one and all present here. I, Sanskriti Margas, and my friend Rishikesh Savan both take the privilege of comparing today's Marketing Meet 2020 on behalf of the Marketing Forum. It is our pleasure to welcome our honorable delegates, our dear director, faculty members, and all the fellow management students of GNVS IOM to this wonderful webinar titled Marketing Mantras During COVID-19 Era. Now, I would like to request our director, Dr. R.K. Sally sir, to please address the audience. Over to you, Dr. Sally sir.
I am participating in the fifth webinar being organized by our institute, GNVS Institute of Management. And I take it my privilege, and I'm very happy in conveying our hearty welcome to our both the guests of honor and the resource persons and the top-notch accomplished professional corporate leaders, Mr. Alok Jha and Mr. Naresh Duble. Let's give them a big round of applause, my dear students and participants. And I also welcome my colleagues, learned faculty and staff, and above all, my dear students. And on behalf of the management of Guru Nanak Vidyak Society and the family of GNVS Institute of Management, my colleagues, my staff members, and dear students, I convey sincere gratitude to both the learned resource speakers, Mr. Alok Jha and Mr. Naresh Duble, for agreeing to our request. And today, they are there amidst us, sparing their valuable time to interact with our students on the important topic, marketing mantras during COVID-19 times. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us this afternoon. I also take this opportunity to appreciate and compliment the lead taken by our internal quality assurance cell and the marketing department team, and to name some of them, Dr. Ketan Veera, the secretary of the IQAC, Dr. Yashoda, and Dr. Sneha, who are the lead organizers on behalf of marketing department for this webinar, and also the team members of Marketing Forum, the students who are steering that forum. I compliment and appreciate the lead taken by them in organizing this important webinar. Dear friends, it's more than 4 months that we are into this COVID-19. And it seems that we have to learn to live with this COVID-19. And there is a addition of one more disease in the big list of diseases which are already there. Yes, we are having COVID-19 as a permanent disease. Though vaccine is on the anvil, at the anvil, but before that, India, unfortunately, today crossed the 1 million mark of the COVID cases and crossed the unfortunate figure of 25,000 deaths. But we always must be optimist and see the positive side of the story, because any deep crisis, I always believe, has with it an opportunity for all of us to present our extraordinary self, to refine, to improve, to better ourselves. And I would like to quote the example of Dr. Nelson Mandela, who was imprisoned for 27 years before his country became independent. I'm talking of South Africa. And when the correspondent media person asked him after he was released, how did he spend 27 years in jail? He replied back, there is no question of spending the time in the jail. All along, I was thinking how I will lead my country post-independence and how I will make my country progressive and beautiful. My dear students, each one of us, rather each one of you, because you are the young blood, must build on your relative strength, your passion, your liking, what you want to be. Build on that. And one of the important things which we must take care in these VUCA times is that we must be in tune with the current environment. We should not only be aware of the environment, but we must be very alert about what is happening in the environment. And I am giving a happy news to all my students that from today onwards, our librarian, Mr. Sailesh, has started the new service of circulating 4 e-newspapers to all the students: Economics Times, Mint, the Times of India, and the Hindustan Times. I am sure my students will make the best use of these newspapers every day and will update on the environment, which is very volatile. The topic for today's webinar, marketing mantras during COVID-19 era. And as you all know, era is very slumpy, very recessionary, very disruptive, and full of uncertainties. For example, industrial production during April and May was very negligible. It was more than half. We lost the industrial production during these 2 months. And if we see and look at the vehicle registrations, and in April it was 0, nil, and in May only 10% vehicle registrations were seen. To take care of the slump induced by this COVID, the government of India announced the economic package, which is equivalent to 10.5% of the GDP of India, and which is rupees 21 lakhs in terms of amount. And when we compared this amount, Italy had declared the economic package, which was 44.5% of their GDP. I hope that something more will come from the government, and we all as countrymen must join the government in taking over this challenge. The other day, our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, gave the call to the youth when he was speaking in one of the symposium of CII that there is a need for massive skilling, reskilling, and de-skilling. What is not relevant in the present day times, we must forget that skill and reskill with reference to the new skill. Especially when see the topic today's webinar, there's a big challenge for marketing professionals, because the people have tightened the strings of their purses and wallets. There's a negative mindset all around. and how to make the people spend and buy the goods and services produced by the industry is a big challenge for the marketeers. I am sure from our learned speakers today, Mr. Alok Jha and Naresh Duble, we will having a lot of value addition on this topic. I convey my best wishes for the success of this webinar. And in the end, I thank all the participants and wish them good luck that they will make this webinar quite interactive and it will add value to each one of us. Thank you very much and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your inspiring words. As usual, your speech brought us a new insight to this discussion. Before we begin with the today's webinar, I request Rishikesh Sawan to introduce our guest. Over to you, Rishikesh.
Thank you, Sanskriti. I would take the privilege to introduce the guest, our first guest, Mr. Alok Jha. Mr. Alok Jha is ex-managing director of Cyberplate India Private Limited, Russian multinational company in fintech space. Mr. Alok has experience in fintech industry includes digital payment, wallets, UPI service, and aggregations and financial inclusions. He has worked in the field of pharmaceuticals, furniture, apparels, advertising, loyalty, e-commerce, and payment in young stage industry, large corporates, and MNC. His key area of expertise includes understanding consumer across various space, building and working with the team, and growing business that revolve around the customer, service, and brand. He has been also a part of founding teams of two known startups. He has worked for companies like Blueplast Limited, Mudra Communication, Forbes and Company, and Suvidha InfoServe, among other. He is also a visiting faculty at many leading management schools and mentor for few startups in e-commerce space. Mr. Alok is also an investor, advisor, and mentor to many companies in area of startup and incubators. He is also has been a speaker on many e-commerce and payment platform conferences. Mr. Alok also write in a guest column in various online and business magazines. Mr. Alok is double master in political science from Hindu College, Delhi University, and management from Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management, Mumbai University. Moving on with our next speaker for the day, we have with us our second guest, Mr. Naresh Duble. Mr. Naresh Duble is a head continuous improvement and field marketing department of Knopf Sealing Solutions. In April 2020, the Knopf Group completed its acquisition of Armstrong World Industry, EMEA, and APAC business. Armstrong is a global leader in design and manufacturing of sealing and has a history of more than 160 years, offering innovative interior solutions. In this role, Mr. Naresh is responsible for driving the Armstrong India business for healthcare and education verticals. He is also accountable for Knopf Sealing Solutions Academic, responsible for continuous improvement for Armstrong sales team in APAC region. Over the past few years, Mr. Naresh and his team have impacted sealing installation quality in India, upgrading sealing installation contractor skills in India. He has served Armstrong from the early days in India and worked in numerous leadership roles in sales and marketing since 2002. Mr. Naresh brings Knopf his board expertise in consumer durable and IT industry. Before this role, Mr. Naresh worked with Ingram Micro as marketing manager for IBM range of products. Mr. Naresh started his career at Onida, where he worked as a product manager. Now, I would request Dr. Sneha Ambre to please take it ahead. Sneha ma'am, over to you.
Well, you need to unmute yourself.
Oh, I'm so
Neha.
sorry. I completely forgot. Okay. So once again, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Rishi. I'm Dr. Sneha Ambre, the Associate Professor at GNVS Institute of Management, and we are and moderator for today's session. And we are going to keep today's session as lively as possible. So with us today, we have an amazing panel of 50 plus years of collective experience and the field of marketing and sales, and in this webinar, we'll be talking about big trends and challenges of current times. So we'll start with an opening remarks, and I invite Mr. Alok to start the session.
Thank you very much and for inviting me here. It is a privilege. I saw the video and I was amazed with the kind of big space you have for the college. So that's very nice. And I think the setup is also very nice. I've never been there, but I think maybe after post-COVID, probably it would be a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, right. You're welcome.
Sure. So talking about COVID, I think it's a kind of a situation I don't think even my parents have seen. Suddenly everything has come to a standstill and everything is shut down. Life has shut down. You can't get out of the house. You can't go to the office. Offices can't work. It's a very different kind of situation. And it is a kind of situation which every agreement has, and they call it a force majeure. Everything, is unprecedented. It goes beyond something called a black swan. Also, I think it's a double black swan, or that I can agree on it. You can define it any ways. But this time, it's tough. It's tough for the businesses. Suddenly there's no business. Suddenly no client is buying anything, excepting for the few businesses which are critical and essential. That's what is running around. And then what do you do? So at this point of time, I've been consulting a lot of companies. I see, and I've been part of the COVID India initiative as well. And there's a lot of interesting things which has come up at this point of time. First thing is businesses are looking to reinvent themselves, which means whatever the business plan was there earlier is no longer effective. What is happening is earlier you could say 1 month, 2 months, 3 months can be bad, but you can't predict that complete year to be bad and virtually no business. So you have to, the companies have to start thinking, how do I survive first? And then how do I keep my key resources with me so that I don't lose out on these key resources? So companies, obviously in last 4 months, there are roughly about 14 to 15 crore jobs which have been lost, which means companies have looked at it seriously. They have reduced their costs and they have rationalized people whom they want to keep. But there's another thing which the companies are doing is they're trying to go digital big time. They're looking at the opportunity at this point of time. They're looking at the opportunities as in, can I go digital and talk to my customer? They're also trying to talk to their customers because today customer has a time. A B2B business who wants to reach out to different companies today, probably all the CEOs and all the top guys are sitting at home and they do have time to talk to, take out time and do discussions, which in the normal course of time, they would not have had. Third, I see a lot of innovation happening in doing a kind of, I will give you some examples. Earlier, we were talking about Swiggy's and Zomatos of the world with kind of coming up with an app and doing it. But here I see local guys coming up with mobile app, combining few suppliers and starting to do local deliveries. That's the, local business models are emerging. Very interestingly, people come up with different ideas. And I'm part of the COVID new initiative startup forum, where we see guys have come up with how to identify the COVID patient with a stethoscope, with a PCB attached to it. And when the doctor can look at the patient and he touches the heart or the pulses, there's a particular kind of reading that happens and tells you it's a non-invasive kind of scenario there. There are thermal dots, thermal stickers which have come in, which actually convey the change of temperature, or if the patient is there and his temperature is not going, which means or it has come down, so the color changes. When the color changes, you would know that temperature is going down and patient is becoming better and better. A lot of cost is being rationalized. One of the impacts which I am seeing is a lot of people are questioning the need for an office. But at the same time, people are realizing why I was spending so much. And hence, if work from home can be efficient, there are possibilities of working from home with a larger audience, and the employees can be very happy. There are few companies which have already announced that till 2021, my employees will never come to office. Companies like TCS have said 75% will be work from home. So they are innovating different ways of doing business. They are innovating in terms of cost rationalization, reaching out to the customer, securing their employees, and giving a facility in this period of time, so that people are comfortable, safe, still they can do business, take care of their family, and not to be affected by this pandemic we are talking about. I think I'll stop here. I will take on questions as we go now. Unmute.
Sneha ma'am, unmute.
So now Mr. Naresh will give his introductory remarks.
Yeah, so I'll just share my screen first. So I would like to take a presentation mode. Coming back to campus for me after a long time, like I've been speaking at various forums for my company across, but college campus is the first time. And I would like to take you to a basic case study approach, okay? And sharing with you what we are doing as a company, So everyone talking about, our both speakers spoke about what challenges we are facing, and they are real challenges. And I would take a case study of healthcare, how healthcare industry is happening, but what I'm going to take is how purpose is getting communicated. So what are the 4 P's of marketing? If I ask you all, could you able to see my screen? My screen has been shared?
Yes, sir, we can see that.
Okay. So, but before that, I would just have this conversation in terms of, what are the 4 P's of marketing? If I really ask anyone, it's very simple, right? Can anyone wanted to respond? You can unmute anyone and they can respond. Probably they are mute. So you can choose somebody and let them respond.
Sir, product, price, place, and promotion.
They're writing it in the chat box also. In case.
Okay, great. Perfect. So yeah, so these are the 4 P's. But as we go ahead, there is one more P getting added. Any idea on that? And even these P's have changed. I would have really loved to have this session in the classroom like that. But as we go ahead, what we have done up till now as a human, as a race, is quite irrelevant. What I mean by that is, this is a watershed event more than anything else in the history of mankind. And I've been responsible for healthcare education. So I'm in touch with a lot of doctors and futuristic leaders and thinkers, and married to a doctor, being in different perspective about healthcare. But more than anything else, this is a time, last time it happened 100 years back and 100 years, 200 years back and stuff like that. We took months together to find out. This time, within 2 weeks, we know the entire genome and a DNA of what has hit human. Correct? Had this happened 50, 100 years back, casualty would have been lakhs and crores in India. We just had 25,000 people lost the battle. So yes, when we are struggling with economy, we are struggling with things, there are a lot of silver lining, which I can see as a positive aspects of what is happening around us is unprecedented. And you guys who are in the college, who are still connected with books and academics and teachers and webinars and listening, it's a beautiful lifetime opportunity to get ready for the next generation. Now, the whole game is and whole uncertainty is nobody knows what is in ahead of us. I've been speaking at various conferences, attending conferences in Asia about education. They think two things are very important because nobody knows what we need to teach our kids in KGs to be ready for next generation. So what they need to teach is two things. One is mathematical skill, your ability to think fast and think differently. If you are not able to think differently than others and not able to see a different solution for the same problem, you are stuck. You're in the masses. And there's nothing wrong in the masses, but you are in the masses. And the second thing is your empathy. When you have WWW, like ma'am, Yashoda ma'am and myself and professors out here, we grew up in an era when we used to stand up outside STD booth to call up your girlfriend. I remember my wife used to be in Gujarat and I used to stand up early in the morning after workout to call her up. Today, you are on a face chat and that's like touching a screen and something coming up is unimaginable for my generation. And we are living in that. We used to see a Star Trek movie where people used to put something in the ears and they used to call up from the phone. I do it now. So, so we are moving at a faster pace as a human than any other human before. So kind of prosperity, kind of wealth we have around us is unprecedented. Now, having said that, I'm just struggling to go back to my first screen because I'm using my daughter's laptop and that's what technology bring it to the thing. So what I have done is, so they are going back to our 4 Ps. The 4 Ps as marketing has evolved to 5 Ps of marketing. And the first important P is a purpose. Now the next generation organization, next generation marketing need to cut out through a clutter of what has been talked about, what has been said up till now, and connect with their customers and audience with the purpose why they exist. The answering of why, like Simon Sinek talks about, is so important. That purpose is so important. You need to induce pride in your own employees and your tribe. Your tribe need to get pride to connect with your brand and use your product again, endorse to their friends and relatives. That's the next step as a P of marketing is. The third thing is partnership. You should be like consultant. Collaboration is a big word, like Intel Inside is whether it doesn't matter whether it's HP or IBM or which brand used to get sell. What has been sold is Intel. What chip of Intel you have, because that decides the performance. That kind of collaboration Intel calls with all PC manufacturers is the next way to go about. And the protecting whatever you're doing in a most ethical way. So ethics is whole new definition. Everything is recorded 100% of time, 100 times larger than before. Your surveillance system is not only on the screen, like Alokji said, it's going screen deep. So the next era is era of AI and machine learning and automation, which bring in a lot of uncertainty. So you need to protect yourself. You need to build new skill. You need to reskill yourself. Partnership with the brand. Partnership with your tribe. Again, your tribe is not geographical. All those old definition of SAC, income, age group, gone. You have whole new definitions coming in where you can develop a purpose, or there are tribe for everything in this WWW world. You have to connect with your audience faster and quicker as a marketing person going ahead in your life, next 40 years, right? And then most important thing as a marketing thing is personalization. Everyone need to feel that you are giving your product and services personalized to your tribe, and they really enjoy. They enjoy your 100% attention, like you are giving it to what I'm saying right now, and connecting with them 100% of the time, so that the faith is prize is given, that kind of stuff. So it's a completely new way of purpose-driven branding, purpose-driven marketing, and that's what Armstrong has done successfully. Ironically, it is out of the time tune. It is being 150-year-old company, but the owner of the company was a shipping clerk who started a startup in the current era with $300 saving of his salary. And he put A with a logo and a cork. There's a cork manufacturing plant. And a local event, the juices goes bad or sour. And the juice manufacturer said, maybe cork may not be good. He has taken a full responsibility to replace the whole juice in the event. Being a small player, it was a big move and became very popular. But more than getting popular, he put on an ethos in a company which talks about, if customer is buying Armstrong, they have a faith. And this is an era where manufacturing was the rulers. It was manufacturing age. He did not have to do that, but he did that and break through a cultural reality of that time. And then the story unfold became a $3 billion US global conglomerate with 70% market share in the business we are in, and like unimaginable because of the culture which you get into. So when you join any company, when you get out and work for anything, you work. That's a mantra which I got in my college, is work for brand 1 or brand 2 in the industry, because they have the power to bring in change in that industry. Okay, so I'm not able to run this thing right now, but I would like to do this case study maybe after something, but I would love to proceed, not take too much of time right in the beginning, but I would take this 12-minute presentation on healthcare communication, how purpose-driven organization really helps. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you rightly said, the 4 Ps and to 7 Ps. So I'm happy the students will not write in the exam paper the 4 Ps of marketing is saying please, 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 please to the customer. So as even Mr. Alok said, there are a lot of positive and negatives of this COVID era. So on one side, we are being socially distancing ourselves, whereas on the other side, we are trying to acquire new experience by completely being there on a digital platform. So be it doing a complete shopping online for the smallest of the small thing to, binge watching, as it is a scarcity of entertainment. So binge watching entertainment shows on an OTT platform, that is over the top platform like Netflix, Hotstar or Amazon Prime. So new movies are now, these platforms are in such a, demand that new movies are also being released on such platforms. So what do you think, Naresh? I'll first ask you that will this OTT platform will take over the theatrical experience?
Yeah, so human to human experience, having 7D experience is never going to replace, as a real life thing is never going to replace. But yes, as I said, AI and machine learning innovation is going to go at a next level altogether. So you guys would know it better. Like, they are working with the movies where the story of the movie will unfold as per your life story, or you select the character's choice. Oh, this guy would be a good guy or a bad guy, And if you have read Yuval Noah Harari's books, 21 Lessons for 21st Centuries and what is getting unfolded, they can track your eyeballs and know what you're interested in, whether you are gay or you are interested in girls or boys, and the story of the movies will change. And those kind of stuff is going to be hyper intelligent. So big data processing, knowing what you're doing 24 hours, undergoing your skin, and if they can know whether you have temperature or not, and whether you have a COVID and how many days, how your immunity is developing, if they can know it through different testing device, they would have access to know your emotions and feelings. And that's the next stage as a human we are getting into. So the next generation movies, entertainment, fun is going to be far thrilling. The new Warrior who did pinpoint targeting on the camps, they had a chip in the back where you can win any game because you have a super concentration because of the electron discharging senses in your neurosystem. So we are going to be having goggles, equipments, unimaginable stuff coming in terms of entertainment.
So Alok, what would you like to add some points to what Naresh said?
Yes, it's a very interesting question. If we just go back a little bit, there was a movie called Vishwarupam, Kamal Hassan's movie, and it's about 3 years back. He tied up with all the DTH guys, Tata Sky, and all of them to do a single day launch only on DTH platform. that was the time when everybody reacted, and then this movie was not released there. But if you see what has happened today in the cinema halls, there are no reels there. Today in cinema halls, you will never find the reels there. It's beamed from a single point of source. Okay, and there's a company in South which is doing it, and they power almost 6,000 screens. So whenever a movie is released, it's like digitized stacking, and they say, okay, this movie release, this should play at this time. This is what is happening. Interesting point Naresh made was that yes, we are going to gamify the experience. This complete gamification of the experience is going to happen. If you go to 4D, 7D, 9D, I mean, nowadays they're in the malls, you'll find. How do you experience that? I think that experience is going to get enhanced. OTT platforms have actually taken the lead. Even guys like Abhishek Bachchan is now on OTT. So people are coming back. Shah Rukh Khan went from a TV to there, and maybe he'll come back to OTT. You never know.
So as you guys are saying that what I understand is the theatrical experience and the OTT platform experience it can coexist with each other, provided that the marketeers understand the consumer variable and try to create a content accordingly. So with that, I think so there is a lot of curiosity amongst the audience that what is there currently on your watch list when it comes to Netflix, Amazon, and and Hotstar. So what do you think, Alok? What is there? What are you currently watching?
Well, I'm a superhero freak, so I'm watching Gotham right now on Netflix. So that's what I started off with.
And what about, huh? Yeah, continue.
I'm just whichever, I mean, I think I like The Family Man and all those series as well. So those are good.
Yeah. The Family Man was quite a trendsetter. What about you, Naresh? Yeah. What do you watch?
I've been modeling myself to change the behavior, for my young one. So my daughter is in 12th standard. So we and my wife, we haven't played television a lot, and nothing actually. And myself spending more time, I have Amazon stuff, but Prime, but hardly anything, more onto audiobooks and, YouTube's of what I want to watch, and Udemy is what is I'm spending my time into learning and upgrading. And otherwise work keeps you so busy around. And today's era, there is so much available at your ask to go through and to read and engage with. Yeah, I'm not really spending a lot of time onto Netflix.
Yeah, well said, well said. So moving on to the next question, which is for Alok. The lockdown has accelerated a business, firm on a digital platform. So even a certain uninitiated customers who were, during pre-COVID-19 time, they were hesitant to go online. So do you think with increasing online customer base, marketers should realign their media buying strategy and develop an omni-channel presence? What do you think, Alok?
It's very important because we have been fast forwarded almost 10 years of development. What would have come in 5, 7, 10 years? There's no other choice. And right now we still have a 6 months of, distance to cover, if not more, which means people can't get out. You can't hire sales guys more because how many calls you will do. So there are companies now resorting to, people working from home, maybe creating, I know I am consulting a company which came up with a product called Click to Call. So it connects to a large number of, BPO guys who are sitting at home with an automated dialer. They're also trying to convert a lot of the calls into a bot scenario, which means there's a lot of chatbot and voice bot coming up, which is bringing down the cost. So the standardized questions are being answered by bots. So these are the digitization steps which a lot of people are taking. People are seriously thinking of migrating to Earlier, the online was only a fashion for some, serious business for some, and others were fence sitters. The fence sitters are now coming in as a serious business, because online is now going to take the, even the small, I see a lot of small shops are going online because they want to serve customers. I stay in Navi Mumbai, so I see a guy, I saw a restaurant guy who just created an app, as I was talking earlier, to supply groceries and vegetables. And in a matter of about less than 2 months, he has a 5,000 customer base. I know the guy, so I know the numbers. So he's quickly amassed about 5,000 numbers of downloads, and people are ordering 5,000 of orders which are coming in and out. So this is what I see technology doing to productivity.
Okay, that's
and businesses.
okay. So next is a last question to Naresh. That consumer habits are changing in the lockdown. So consumers are more buying, better quality products in the food and home safety in comparison to, they are preferring to buy low variants in the discretionary category. So do you think post-COVID this trend will change, Naresh? What's your take on it?
So yeah, as in, if you really, as I said before, if you really see human core of human haven't really changed, no matter what has happened, how many wars has happened. So yes, it will go back to the old way of doing it, not fully, but certainly to some extent. But the consumer test and consumer way of doing it is going to transform forever in certain industries. Now, what is the major thing happening with human is we have a machine learning, AI, and progress, as I said, into biotechnology. So we need to see at a larger level, at the level of a country, as a level of a humanity, what are the changes which are hitting us, which will hit us as a human, which will hit our micro business and way we operate, way we do. So there are certain jobs which are going to get irrelevant forever. So the famous thing, which is like when industrial era happened, there are people who were driving horse cart, they got reskilled to do foundry or assembly lines or stuff like that. But what happened to the horses? The population of horses has just shrunk to a fraction. Now that's what is going to happen in few industry for humans, right? They are not required. So going ahead, the things which will be done by machine will be done by machine to stay in the business, to have a competitive advantage in the market, to survive. And a lot of job will go to human job, which are thinking jobs, which are personalized jobs. So those skills will be much in demand. So healthcare case study I'm going to take in that, whose job, if I really ask, is at risk? Is it a doctor or a nurse? Can somebody put in the chat first? Whose job will be the first replaced by AI? Doctor or a nurse? You can tap in a chat. I kept the chat on now. You can unmute anyone. And why?
Good question.
Doctor? Yeah, so what does doctor does? If your parents are doctor, like, what are they doing? They are seeing some symptoms. They have the information about what kind of work, what kind of symptoms means what kind of disease at the root. They have a lot of data about what kind of medicine works when you have those kind of diseases. So doctor's job is easily replaceable by machine. But when it comes to a nurse job, there are motorized skill. There's an empathy to be speaking with the patients. So those kind of things are difficult to replace. So in all the jobs across the company, across the business sector, whether you're working in a finance or marketing or HR, you need to really look at what the way it is going to progress with the technological innovation and a country and an industry trend. But one more important caution, whether you take it or not, you got to reskill and redevelop your own knowledge every 5 to 10 years. So this is not going to be like one stage migration. It will happen in phases, and the jobs will get irrelevant in phases, in different sector, different industry. and the new skill will be in demand. And the new skill demand need to be happen by reskilling, like Modi ji said in the beginning, or professors also said. Who are those people? These are the you and me of the industry. We need to be ready to identify faster than others, reskill ourselves, and get ready for next relevant time. So that is a piece which will work, and the company which will adopt to them will survive. Again, I'll go back to the purpose driven marketing and purpose driven connection. So people, so something like brand ladder. If you have learn about brand ladder or a brand prism, so what personality of your customers are getting reflected through your communication. So sales and marketing are two different domain altogether, and what really relevant is to know your tribe best. Instead of previous era, we used to create our tribes through constant communication, for education, for demonstration. Now that exists, your job is to search and serve them in the next era when you come in as a marketing mantra. And at the same time, you got to really go work on your ladder, on a brand ladder. So technical, functional advantages, and then brand personality, brand fragrance. So that brand fragrance need to be really communicated consistently and easily. It can be done through various technological innovation we have around. So that's how your job in next 40 years is going to be very exciting, very turbulent, and it's a fun to be then being certain.
Absolutely.
I'll just add here, if I may.
Yeah, please, sir.
Yeah, actually, what Naresh is saying, and I think it's important. There's a Google study actually, 10 years back. If you look at and see the time frame now, there are a lot of jobs which never existed 10 years back. You could never imagine these kind of jobs would be there. And 10 years hence, we are talking about jobs probably we can't fathom right now, but would be. So one has to, I mean, as a student, I think everybody should be keeping an eye on what is the new trend happening, new development happening. AI is a very large word, but what is AI impacting at? And what is the business it is creating? Is it futuristic or not? I mean, should I go there or not? What is the run for that kind of business? 5 years, 7 years, 10 years? And you have to see that kind of thing. .com one, when it came in 2000, 2001, it just fell off. It just busted in 2002. And everybody said it's death of e-commerce, online business. Then resurfaced in a very different avatar. And look at what we have. Secondly, what interesting thing he was talking about. I was at a WiseEd FinTech conference two years back, and I heard Chandrababu Naidu talking about, saying that I want to have a situation where I should know when the person is going to have a heart attack, and my ambulance would be right at the doorstep of the guy. That is the entire predictive mechanism. Today we are talking about wearable, all kinds of devices. You look at a Samsung watch and it gives you all from the heartbeat, everything. I mean, ECG, everything is you can get it there. Now imagine the new developments. I know guys who are working on the entire lab test, which can happen on the phone itself. You just have to do a drop of blood into it, and the entire CBC report and other your deficiencies, everything would be right. What happens to the path labs? The entire set of probably path labs will separate well. The entire thing will come on your phone. Today we have a glucometer, no? So you put a drop and it tells you what is your insulin level, what prevents it from detecting other things, and then that data is further used to look inside you, like Naresh was saying, and tell you, boss, you're going to have a heart attack. And you've alarmed the ambulance guy, hospital has reached to the ambulance has reached to your doorstep. The moment family gets a signal, you're there back in the hospital, taken well care of. I think that's the kind of future we're talking.
Yeah.
And you should be keeping your eyes and ears, mind open, kya ho raha hai, and all those kind of stuff. And then
Alok sir's, what you said is really exciting to share at this point. I ask you one question, to the students. Who is the largest competitor of Netflix? Sneha was asking, like, who is the largest competitor of Netflix? Can you type in a chat? I want everyone, all of you, to type in a chat. According to you, if you are a marketing manager, or a head strategy for Netflix, who is your biggest competitor? It's not so difficult, you can type Amazon. Okay. Anybody has a different answer? Okay, that's an innovative one. Free apps, yeah. What else? If I tell you none of these things is a real competitor, you remember the Coke story? Yes, your sleep, 100 marks. Your sleep is the biggest competitor for their revenue. As long as you watch, they make money. So life is going through a different level of change. Like first time in the history of mankind, human, previously, whether you have been king or whoever you've been, you will never have an opportunity to extend your lifetime. We are at a juncture where it is very much possible to print your organs. There are countries who are doing killer robots. There are countries which are doing innovation on DNA to transfer human into animal, or animal capabilities like bat into your ears in the new kid. Now, if one country is not doing, second country will do it just to protect themselves. And this is happening around us right now in 2020. So all of these things, when you move, like he said, you have a watch on your hand, is giving you feedback about your emotions and feeling. And that is a data which is driving your next campaign. That is the data which is driving your packaging color, those kind of stuff. So what you at the college, when I said you're a lucky one because you're still connected with, because when you hit the road, you're busy with the things which is hitting you. You need to carve a skill of developing your own void, your own time as a habit to chill in, to get into your subconscious mind and tap your innovation coming up from there. So being innovating is inside stuff. Somebody saying in the case study which I read some time back, the youngster who joined cafe Nestle market, and he said, why can't we have these vending machines? And that came from a young one who has developed a huge market for vending machines right in the offices, which is like big pie of their business of Nestle right now. So things like that can come from young minds only when you're not ready to get bound by your previous boundaries set by people who don't understand future. So really get free in terms of questioning everything and putting up a new paradigm when it comes to it, So things around climatic change, things around bioengineering. So I was saying the first time in the history of mankind, human will increase their lifetime. So people like me and Alok will dream about working for next 30 years. So and you say, what will happen to me for 30 years then?
Dream or dread? Dream or dread? Dream or dread?
No, so truly speaking, as a human, we are entering into a whole new environment, so to say. And this environment, so a lot of reading, a lot of connecting yourself, a lot of understanding new stuff around, getting ready from empty and meaningless kind of a mindset, and understanding that all things around you are uncertain any which way. But human has been uncertain ever, and you are blessed in a way to be in a country like India and be connected and being available with a society like this. Is there are positives around to go about? Yeah, it was a long answer to your short question.
No, but that's quite interesting, because there are two things which I'm sure audience must have understood. That first is AI-backed innovation is the future for the industry, and second is the being myopic is not going to help companies. They have to understand the emerging needs and the wants of the customer, and they have to be agile enough to develop their product accordingly to make sure that they try to bridge the gap between the needs and their delivery. So there is one more question, which is for both of you. So according to you, both of you, that what is the biggest challenge faced by the marketing professionals of your respective industry in the COVID-19 era, and how we should overcome those challenges? So, Alok, what's your thought on this?
I think the biggest challenge is also while there's an opportunity that people are going digital, people are also getting occupied, and everybody is going to bombard on the digital platform. So, for example, in the traditional form of advertising, we used to say the billboard or the hoardings which you see, you cross the third time. After that, it is just a poster. I mean, you will never notice it. Similar things will start happening on the digital because there will be an influx of advertising and things will happen. I think one of the challenges is that. Secondly, there's a lot of data which is available. You will start customizing a lot of communication and the product. So obviously, the marketing guy must also be a little technology savvy guy to understand the big data, AI, and how the customer sentiments and the tonality which happens today. You have by what you write in the digital media or mediums. Actually, there are now tools which predict you what is your tone in the conversation. Is that an angry tone? Have your guys who have responded? What is their tonality? Are they happy with you? They're unhappy with you. So there are a lot of these tools which have come in the social media, which analyzes when you speak, when you write, your tonality and your attitude, your mindset. They completely analyze because psychology is playing a big role now. From here onwards, the marketing will also become a lot of this psychology-based, parameterized. I would say it would be a mix of marketing and psychology and technology that is going to happen. It always was in a different format, but now technology is enabling in such a fashion that the information will be at a very fast speed. So if you don't convert today, somebody else will convert. That's the difference which will happen. The speed of reaching to the customer will be very key. The preposition which you have to give to the customer, you have to be the first. So for him to grab his attention and act, because online guys are two kinds. One is very impulsive. They jump to an offer, which we have seen in the last 5-7 years. There's a lot of greed-based customer acquisition which has happened, which we call cashbacks and freebies and all that. But there's another set who will actually go to 10 different websites and check out and then make a decision. So there's a very inquisitive, research-based customer base, and second is the impulsive base. So you have to understand which kind of customer you want to address and catch. Thanks.
What's your take on it, Naresh?
Like I go back to the purpose-driven branding, and the moment you do that, it solves a lot of problem because there is oneness. There is no you and customer. You have to become one with customer. The fifth P, which I talk about, personalization, it should really happen with your tribe. So yes, there are challenges. The same challenges which you have today versus 3 batch before student had in the campus. They used to have interviews in person in the room. Today, your first 2 rounds will happen on Skype. So your ability to look into a screen and camera, connect and communicate your essence and USPs to your client, to your prospective employer, is the same challenge the brands have today, to connect with them when they are invisible and their behavior is shifting and changing. Your profiling done 6 months back for your customer or a 1 year back for your market segment need to relook. The long term is 2 months, short term is 1 day. That's the real challenge. So your operating plan, which we make in the boardroom right in the beginning of the year, look at it. Every 3 months, new operating plan need to really may emerge for some businesses. So adaptation, protecting your businesses, all new piece of existence and branding and marketing and companies are far more relevant. And let me tell you, everyone is learning in this. Everyone is just getting attuned with the new normal, which is emerging around us. So that's the thing. So if you give me time, I would just run through the presentation. I think the right time also to connect with the purpose of what I'm doing. I will drive that deep with that case study. And yeah, I can just share that now. I found the way to go back to my first slide now. So I've been using Windows, so learning Mac as it happening out here. So marketing mantra, when we talk about, is the AI we spoke different dimensions of it. And I'll run through a case study of what is the future of healthcare and how Armstrong is connecting with our customers and our audience in terms of working with them, okay? So what I wanted to start, and we said this, is what is a driver of change? Is knowledge, understanding, just listening. So my knowledge or Alok's knowledge or your professor knowledge is no use to you unless you do mananam or reflection on what you're doing. So your awareness is part when you allocate time to reflect on what you are learning, connecting the dots, which is important. So that between the years thinking, which is very, very important. And my personal experience is I learned about Vipassana meditation some 8-10 years back, and I've been participating over last 10 years, which has led to many changes in my personal life, and more important is my own happiness. So you can make far more better choices in your career, in your life, as a brand, as a marketer, as a salesman, or even a finance guy, so that you bring in different perspective to your business. So in the healthcare study, change and innovation, as we said, is happening at a lightning speed. So negative pressure rooms getting built up into the existing hospitals getting ready in 2 weeks and 3 weeks time in places like Bihar and Patna we are engaging in. But more important than that, as a whole, as a sector, is the first sector to adopt technology at a high speed, whether it is robots with the voice control devices, whether it is prescribing medicine on a tab by touching it, where doctors reading is handwriting is not readable, and that's the way the entire healthcare is changing. So again, awareness lead to choice, lead to change and innovation, and that's the mantra which I wanted to live with you, to work around purposeful companies and purposeful work. So what I keep on saying is hospitals are for patient, plain simple. It's not for machine, it's not for infrastructure, it's for humans and humans recovery. So we don't want to go to hospital ever, right? So our well-being, can you able to see my screen, or these icons are disturbing the display?
No, we can see that.
You can see the full screen, right? Because on my screen, there are photos. Okay. So human well-being and a fast recovery is the number one reason. None of us, 80 of us sitting in this, ever wanted to go to hospital given a choice, right? And that's the future of healthcare we are identified with. So what you require to healthcare to work like that, and once you've been there, we want safety and hygiene. Safety for the people who run the hospitals and hygiene for both of them. And it's very clear, and it's possible. So serene atmosphere, if you can't sleep for a day or so, and as a normal human being, you feel zombie and your concentration goes for a toss. Imagine those patients who are not able to sleep in the hospital because of noise and disturbances which are happening. How would they recover faster? And hospital is more profitable when they're sending patient home back faster. Why? Because they get popular, they recover the patient well, and second, patient only pays in first 2 to 3 days when they're doing tests. Rest of the time, he just occupies the bed. So it's in the interest of hospitals to send them back faster. So you have to learn such different beneath the thing. So number one cost is the people around is the number one cost in any operation. It's not electricity, it's not material. So moment you make, so it's the number one complaint if you get into modern hospitals is none of this, but a noise and a noise level when you see in that corridor and passages. And those kind of a noise and disturbances are leading for annoyance, disturbance, distraction, and errors happening because of that, and any error in any business is bad, but in healthcare, it is difference between life and death. So 20% of a death happening in US is because of human error. And nobody talks about it in India at all. So we, in that respect, in a different society altogether. So yes, so sound and is something which has not paid attention across designing of the building.
When I was visiting my terminally ill father in hospital, I was asking myself, how does anybody get well in a place that sounds like this? Hospital sound is getting worse all the time. Noise levels in hospitals have doubled in the last few years. And it affects not just the patients, but also the people working there. I think we would like for dispensing errors to be zero, wouldn't we? And yet, as noise levels go up, so do the errors in dispensing made by the staff in hospitals. Most of all, though, it affects the patient. And that could be you, it could be me. Sleep is absolutely crucial for recovery. It's when we regenerate, when we rebuild ourselves. And with threatening noise like this going on, your body, even if you are able to sleep, your body is telling you, I'm under threat. This is dangerous. And the quality of sleep is degraded, and so is our recovery. There are just huge benefits to come from planning for the ears in our healthcare.
So TED is something which is, I think I'm already sure that you are very popular on TED. Listen to this guy, talks about sound, and in fact, Julian Treasure, he has a 5 TED Talks, not TEDx, 5 TED Talks. So what you measure get delivered, that's through across for all the things. So sound measurement and sound is awareness in leading hospital is what we are driving around for putting apps and lights and light changer for monitoring that.
Ground floor, main building, sound level 75 decibel.
So when WHO talking about 30-35 decibel as a norm, in Indian hospitals, we have 70-75 decibel kind of a noise in the hospital, which disturbs the sleep and take the performance off. All the lobbies are like super resonant and giving huge discomfort for patient relatives who are waiting for hours together. So these are the softer factors which we are touching onto customers, decision makers' mindset. What impact does it have for their business? Do they commit error right in the first place when patient enter in and makes a note in the emergency ward? How much is the cost they are paying for the noise level which their doctors and the staff is subjecting to? What happens when they have a longer stay and an infection coming in? So I worked with National Building Code. I was part of a technical committee, lucky to be there. And we got a world-class code of 0.6 seconds for sound in learning places and inside the building where human interaction which happens, the speech clarity is required. So I would like to expose you to one more video, which is demonstration of what is a reverberation.
RT study, IISCR, first floor, 110 classroom. Ceilings are gypsum fitted, doesn't give acoustics. We have best speaker on the wall, but if room is dysfunctional for reverberation, it doesn't help what speaker you and sound system you have. For such a small room of 80-seater, you don't need speaker. What you need is classroom design for reverberation time of 0.6 seconds.
Which is our National Building Code. And I've been dedicating my life in the way kids learn in the school and way people here in the hospital. Because if sunega India, to padega India, right? So we all have experiences. If you're not interested in the teacher and the subject, we go on a backbench and sit. So that it shouldn't be like that. Mother shouldn't be telling their kids, go and sit in the first 2 rows, those are golden sits. Otherwise you'll be not studying in the class. So sound, and there is a cost to the teacher also, because no matter how good teacher you are, if you are not connected with your audience, you are getting echo, your own voice coming back to your ear, and your brain is getting disturbed because of that. You're going to go faster and louder, and your entire energy is going to go west. I remember when I showed this to nursery schools and NM schools, there is a teacher called Was. She's a director, and she saw this, and we did this 3 schools. And she said, "Darling, where were you? Look at my voice." So good.
Naresh, what you said is absolutely right, because that's the one thing that I used to always tell my daughter: go and sit on the first 2 benches, be a front bencher. So you're absolutely right about this.
Yeah. So students are getting 2 voices, direct voice and reflected voice, and they are struggling to concentrate because of that. So it's not their brain, it's not their intention to learn. It's just physical reality is not helping them. But
I will definitely ask my class about this,
We will do a test there and we can see that. And you can see the difference between, because today it's a water to the fish. If you ask fish what is the water, it doesn't know because he hasn't experienced a different way of learning. So the Gurukul learning under the tree in the jungle was the best learning, if you really ask me. But when you move into a modern building, there's a cost on a teacher. The teacher's voice and entire energy is getting wasted, the BP going up and stuff like that. So we are talking, why I'm saying what I'm saying to you is we are not talking about product benefits. We are not talking about how good Armstrong products are. We're talking about what problem we solve for you, how it impact your performance, your productivity, your output for the students, and the quality of life for the teacher. And that is how we are approaching the market. And that's the way to go about getting into a purposeful living and then demonstrating this, showing them.
That's absolutely excellent, I must say. Can I get Alok in very quickly out here? Alok, can I ask you a very quick question? Which is the top innovation that you're looking at? You mentioned that you're involved with a lot of people who are doing innovations, and also, can you tell me the best one that you can think of that you are working on right now? Alok, can you unmute yourself, please?
Sorry, now this time it's me.
This technology, there's nothing you can do about it.
Seriously, actually, when you start speaking, you should just unmute yourself. I mean, that's AI.
We'll get used to that someday. It'll happen naturally, I guess.
I know. Yes, 2 of the technologies which I recently saw was, one was one of the companies is working very closely with I think, couple of governments. They are actually mapping the containment zones. Entire Mumbai is divided into, red and green zones and orange zones. So they are working very closely with these 3 zones. So they have mapped entire Mumbai, and what they do is they use satellites, geofencing, geotagging that area, and any movement from that area to another area is actually being recorded. So if you move from Mulund to some other place, and since you are mapped, so they use a lot of these technologies of the phone and your location. So, basically, if you come from one, you've been stationary to one area, and you start moving into another area, your movements are being tracked. So today, Google Map does that. As you move along, so it will give you a points of which all places you travel. I think this is little layering on the top, where they look at. They not only did that for Mumbai, they also looked at migrant laborers who went from Mumbai to Bihar or UP or other places, and they could see the spread, how they were doing, even in UP. So if you were tracking by numbers, you would actually start looking at what is the movement of the people. So this is one. And second I talked about was the thermal dots, which I saw, which you put in the head. Other day, probably Naresh was asking this question, that why for the male? I mean, you can put it at any of the points, and with the body temperature, it changes the color. It stays for 3 to 5
The
days.
Google Map thing is quite well known to a lot of people. But this thermal dot thing, is it under production? Is it underway? Is it?
No, it is there.
It's already existing?
It's already existing.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are at 16:21 hours now. And Dr. Amre, now I'd like to call you in to just take a couple of questions from the students, please.
Yeah, definitely. So there are a lot of, I mean, let me see how many questions are there in the chat box first. So till the time students are going to write the questions, students, please start writing your questions. There is a one quick question which I would like to ask the panel. Okay. So as the Modi ji is talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, so what do you think, that what will be the way forward mantras for the startup, post COVID-19 era? So what do you think, Naresh, about it? So
Yeah,
what should be the way forward mantra for the startups?
So finding out new solution to the old challenges. Choosing and looking at resources around you creatively. Engaging passionately with the purpose of why you're doing it. So not jumping into something because there's more money into it, jumping into something where your passion lies, like the Three Idiots kind of stuff. Is it easy to say, but it has looked ridiculously bad in all the generations, but it is far easy to practice in today's generation than ever before. So that's the important one aspect of you putting your life under something. It's like you got to fall in love with your idea. You got to really see a purpose behind that, and then the rest of the things of all the marketing, all the knowledge which you have will just follow. It will happen automatically the moment you find that out.
What's your take on it, Alok?
Sorry, you have to repeat that question. I think I lost it.
So the question was like, as the entire country is talking about the Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Atmanirbhar.
So
right.
What is the way forward mantras? So what we like, anything which you want to say that
I think India is an opportunity country.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, because by sheer number of people who can consume your services. That is one. Second, if you are going to do something which can be accepted worldwide, then the world is also a platform, right? So both ways. So like Naresh was saying, you have to find your space. You have to find your competency, and also you have to find a particular need or a problem which you are solving. If you are going to solve a particular problem and which is critical and which can be adopted by masses, there you are. I mean, that's the idea which can click.
An important thing is you don't need to create market now. You need to find your tribe. There are enough people who are clustered. You need to find, to reach and communicate with those clusters effectively so that they enroll into your story and they get benefited and you serve them, really serve them.
Nikhil Shejwal, Sneha, Nikhil Shejwal has a very interesting question and he's written it in the chat box. But can I request you, Nikhil, to unmute yourself and introduce yourself and ask the speakers the question? It'll be good. Nikhil, are you there?
Yeah. Hello.
Hi. Yeah.
I'm audible?
Yes, please.
Very much, Nikhil.
Yeah. So I just wanted to.
Okay, I'll
read
out the question.
I just wanted to know the 5 P's, like he mentioned, like about personalization. So how is it going to help me into the shipping industry?
Yeah. So your customers, when you're talking about personalization, it is where you communicate with them, where you connect with them. The personalization can happen through a material, service, delivery, packaging. You talk about all of this, but that's not the purpose. That's the whole purpose is to make every customer. Let's say you have 10 big customers, right? You understand their needs, their priorities, what influence it has on their business, and you work with them such that they feel their needs are met. when you're offering maybe the same product or same way the services in your shipping industry. Each one of them gets satisfaction of they being served fully. Did you get it, Nikhil?
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a cerebral work. It's more work in thinking, more work in communicating. Yeah, Alok sir.
Yeah, I would just add quickly here. Because shipping is more a B2B business, and it's not a B2C business. So B2B in this, they will look at what personalized solution one can give to a particular company. And if you start aligning with a company more deeply and understand what is their roadmap and start customizing your solution to that particular company, then, and it may not fit same for other companies. You'll have to probably do with 5 different companies in a 5 different way, personalized way. And that's the way the personalization will work both in the shipping industry.
So, there is one more question which we have in the chat box, and question is from Akshay Tambe. So the question is, as education industry has got affected a lot due to COVID-19 outbreak, there are still many small players who are short of infrastructure. For example, education institutions which are from K to 12 are short on infra. So how much will it get affected post-COVID, and what will be the near solution or sustainable things that can be initiated to cope with such situation? So what's your take on it?
Yeah, very good question, and very relevant for my business also. So way I see it, the education and learning is the in thing, the way I explained to you right now. So the same building which is teaching students from morning 7 to evening 5 o'clock will run evening classes to update the skill set for learning how to design the games, or learning some soft skills or human skills or psychological skills for people. That's the way I see it happening. But yes, in the short run, there is an impact because you cannot be in the space and all. But yes, this will play more important thing to infrastructure and hygiene. And infrastructure hygiene improving the purpose and the delivery and the output. The new way of connecting, like you are listening on your personal device, which is far more comfortable. There is no backbencher. And I'm talking in the camera right now. I'm talking with you, each one of you, personally connecting with you. And that's the new innovation which is happening. So yes, infrastructure will. So what need to happen in terms of learning and collaborating and growing will happen in the classroom. A lot of pre-work and self-preparation of a flipped classroom will be a norm of the day. It will. So instead of spending 8 hours, let's say in a normal classroom, you will spend only 3 hours or 2 hours with your student, with your professor. So that personalized thing is never going to go away. It will ever stay as long as we are human. But the way we approach it, amount of which we approach it, the kind of syllabus we will cover it, will get transformed dramatically. And the same building will be becoming a multi-use building is the way I see the future emerging. And the people who adopt it faster, because anyway, you're using only for 30-40% of the time. 60 to 70% of the time, this institute is just ideal structure on the earth. I hope I answered your question. Yeah.
Yeah, there is one more. Like as I'm keeping a tap on the time. It's 4:29, but there is one very quick question which is quite interesting, and it is from Divya. The post-pandemic era will test the true resilience of the brands and their ability to scale. So should we revisit the pre-COVID campaigns, or should we just stick to the new normal? So Alok, can you just give your viewpoint on this?
Online certification programs are increasing, yes. Interestingly, it just happened in US that they asked the students to go back to whichever country they come from, because now they're shifting to online. I always believed before pre-COVID era as well, in the pre-COVID era as well, that education is going to be democratized, which means you will have a syllabus. At a certain point of time, you will have a lot of these online content classes which will happen. And what will actually be remaining will be the assessments over a period of time. Maybe the traditional brick and mortar structure will undergo a change. online universities, more and more authentic online universities, probably we may start seeing it happening right now. And it is happening. If you see all the big universities, Ivy colleges and all, they have started their courses online. You can actually enroll and do a course sitting at home. And you become part of their alumni group. So this is happening.
Yeah. So I think so. In short, you also ordered the one question which Swanan asked, which is also about the same, that as the more companies are trying to come up with a new content, so will this create a saturation phase for the market? So I think so. That's
What I want to say is, like, closing remarks kind of thing. AI, machine learning, robotics hasn't really scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Okay? What we have experienced is not even a beginning of it. So as a human, as a marketing, so you got to have a lot of pride in
I think it's got
change the world any which way, you know. So we are going to see something great coming up as a human race as we go into next decade and the next decade and the next decade. Yeah, that's the mantra. Be ready to change all the time.
Yeah, be ready to change and upskill, upgrade.
There was some connectivity issue, but in general, when we discussed, we talk about all the questions, answers which you have given for the students' question. I must say that it was quite informative. So thank you so much for all your feedback and the thoughts on the topic. So when I just when I see the today's discussion, and I don't know how, but we started with Netflix and all, and it completely I was just thinking about one movie which is like a Jim Carrey's 1994 on a super hit Mask. And little did we realize that that particular title of the movie is so going to be the integral part of our daily lives, and it is going to emerge as a category wherein all the high profile brands are entering into market and trying to sell their branded masks. So it is like we are going to use it not just daily but almost all the times in the 2020. So here we are just trying to see a lot of changes, not just the markets, but even the consumers are changing with their changing consumption pattern, their preferences, spending capacity, and frequency of visiting retail outlet. So a lot of changes are, as a marketeer today, we are facing. But as the saying goes, so when going gets tough, tough gets going. So each challenge is converted into opportunities by today's marketeer. So on this note, I conclude the panel discussion and I request Vaishna to propose a vote of thanks. Vaishna.
Yeah, good afternoon all. Before moving towards the end of our session, I would request Professor Yashoda ma'am to speak few words.
Thank you so much, Vaishna. Thank you. I just have a big thank you to the speakers, both of them, to all my faculty, colleagues who are here, and Dr. Saili, of course, and a really big thanks to all my alumni who have come. I'm amazed at the number of alumni who are here today.
Right.
And it's really heartening. So thank you to all of y'all, and over to you, Vaishna.
Yeah, as gratitude is the most beautiful form of courtesy, on behalf of marketing committee and our institute, I take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this webinar on marketing mantras during COVID-19 era, organized by IQAC and marketing department. At the outset, I thank and Mr. Naresh Duble, who spared their time from their busiest schedule to grace the occasion and for sharing with us their findings and opinions today. Sir, we are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence. We are thankful to our director, Dr. R.K. Saili, for his enthusiastic support. I take this opportunity to extend our gratitude to our members, mentors, Dr. Yashoda Durge and Dr. Sneha Amre for their guidance and for also inspiring us to host this webinar successfully. My heartfelt thanks to our teaching faculty members for their support and valuable inputs for organizing this webinar. I would also like to thank non-teaching staff for their enormous cooperation in conducting this webinar. I must mention a deep sense of appreciation for the organizing team for their meticulous effort and coordination for making this conference grand success. Also, we convey our sincere thanks to our alumni for their gracious presence today. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all our students for attending this webinar and making this a grand success. Before we close for this session, I have an announcement that we have a webinar scheduled on 24th of July by the Finance Committee on topic, when will the bull bounce back post COVID-19? Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Naresh. Thanks, Alok. Thanks,
Thank
Sneha,
you.
all our colleagues and all the students and my alumni. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Bye.